Okay. So, hi Aditya, am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So, firstly, welcome back to today's session. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's session, and I hope you got to learn new things yesterday. And as you know, we are revising your
Yes.
science syllabus of class 6,
One minute.
right? And till now, we have covered 6 sessions in which we have covered 10 chapters, right? Now today we have chapter 11 and 12 from, as I always say, we are strictly following the NCRT pattern, and according to that textbook we have unit 11 and 12 today in the line, right? So the first unit that we will be taking today would be the living organisms, characteristics and habitats, and next would be the motion and measurements of distances. We will try today to cover these two units today itself, and we will go through the quizzes, and at last you will have a feedback form. As always, the protocols, we have to follow the protocols, where we have to cover the unit. After unit we have to go for quizzes, and after the quiz we go for feedback forms, and then we have your question and answer time. Okay, so I hope, are
Yes.
you raising your hand?
No, sir.
Okay,
This
all
is
right.
mistake.
Okay, okay. So, shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So, now we'll start with the first unit for the day, that is the living organisms, characteristics, and habitats. So, what is a habitat? Do you have any idea? What is a habitat? Habitat is a place where an organism lives, right? For example, I live in my home. So, my habitat is my own home, right? Like you live here in your home. Habitat is a place where we live. Now, my home has been customized according to me. Your home would be customized according to you. Like I am not a person who can sit in AC room. So I don't have AC in my room. Similarly, there can be a person who always needs an AC. So his room may contain AC, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So a habitat is a place where we live with the environment we fit into, with the suitable environment, right? Which suits me. Like AC doesn't suits me, so I am not living in an AC room. AC might suit you, so you are living in an AC room, right? With suitable environment. All right, so that's a habitat. So this is the chapter we have to cover today, the living organisms, characteristics and habitats. Like I am a living organism. My characteristic is that I cannot sit in an AC room, so my habitat is such that I don't have AC in my room, right? So that's the basic thing that we will be following today. We will be studying about various living organisms. Then, what characteristics do they have, and how is their habitat? Right? Habitat that has been set for them so that they can live happily. Right? So, let's move ahead. Okay? Yeah. Next one. Yeah. So, as you can see, Aditya, here in this slide, I have a picture here where we can see so many things. Like this part of this picture is a deserted area where we don't have plants, whereas in this portion we have so many plants, right? This shows that plants can only live in an area where they get suitable conditions like water, right? They need water, which is not there in desert area, right? So plants don't live here, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. You might have observed that there are no plants in deserts.
Yes, sir. Sir, there are means small cactus.
Right. There are cactus and some other plants that have been
Trees
modified,
green. They're like
like
plum.
plum. I'm not sure whether plum is there in desert areas because I don't think it is there. Well, we can check it on internet, right? It's always like internet is always open for us. Let's check it together on the internet, right?
Yes, sir.
It will just take a moment because science is a subject which will bring questions to us, and we should get our questions answered every time. Okay, so I'll just share my internet tab and then we will check out the availability of plum. Where is it? Right. Hmm. Okay. So can you see my screen? Yeah. Now I'll just Google it here. Uh, Whether. Okay. Plum is a desert plant. Okay. So we have plum. Yeah, you are right. Plum is found in desert areas.
Yes, sir. So,
Yeah.
that all plants are not in the grasslands or any mountain areas. Some plants are also there in deserts. Like
Yeah, very
like,
good.
like cactus and plum. Then um,
Then there are many others,
then
right?
I remember.
Yeah, ferns and cactus, all plants that have thorny.
Remember only two. Then I cannot. I don't know.
Yeah, no problem. You know these many examples. That's also great. Okay, so the example that I was just sharing with you was, the plants are not available in desert areas, but they are in the grasslands majorly. But there are plants in the grassland, they in the desert areas, but those plants are modified plants. We will study those plants in detail in the coming slides. But a general thing is that plants are not present in the desert areas. Similarly, if I talk about a fish, right? A fish can live in water, but cannot live on ground, right?
Yes,
So, habitat of a fish is water. Also, there are two types of aquatic animals. Okay, this group is known as aquatic animals that live in water. Okay, now there can be freshwater and fishes and saltwater fishes, right? Okay, so well, that's again a thing. Now, if I talk about this particular animal, I guess this is a kangaroo. Is it?
yes, sir.
Yeah. So this cannot go in water. Like this cannot, okay, this can go in water, but cannot live, right? It cannot survive. So kangaroo's habitat is land. Fine. There are few animals like frogs that can live on both land and water, right? Do you know that? Okay.
Yes,
So, yeah, very good. So now let us move ahead. Like this was just about, a basic things, a basic introduction to habitat. Now, okay. Now, habitat definition comes in front of us. The place where organisms live is called habitat. The place where the organisms live is called habitat. habitat means a dwelling place, a home for us. Whenever we are at our home, we are in the utmost comfort, right? So whenever we go to, that means, like, on this planet Earth, our habitat is our home. The habitat provides us food, water, air, shelter, and other needs to organisms, right? If I am getting food at my home, I am getting water at my home, I am getting air and shelter, and other needs are being fulfilled at my home. So my habitat is my home. Okay? Okay. So I'll move to the next. Okay. Now, there are basically two types of habitats that basically we need to discuss. First is the land, and next is water. Okay, land habitats are termed as terrestrial habitats, and water habitats are termed as aquatic habitats. Okay, terrestrial habitats are our habitats. Like, for example, if I talk about human beings do not live in water, we live on land. So we are terrestrial animals. Our habitat is terrestrial. The plants and animals that live on land are said to live in terrestrial habitats. Some examples of terrestrial habitats are forests, grasslands, deserts, coastal, and mountain regions. Okay, we don't live in forests, we don't live in grasslands, we don't live in deserts, we don't live in coastal and mountain regions. No, it's not like that. Okay, these are the terms, these are the general terms. For example, if I talk about India, I'm sorry, my drawing is not too good. Okay, it's something like this. Actually, not, it's not like this. Let's try drawing it again. Then we have this long portion, then we have this, then we have this. Okay, let's take it as a rough diagram. This region is desert region, right? Rajasthan region is the desert region. So people living here would have a would be living in the desert areas, right? Similarly, this Ganga plains and Gangetic plains, these all are the grassland area, is the where we usually have, we also call rainforests and all. Then we have this part as the coastal areas in India. This part is all coastal, right? Then here we have mountain ranges. So that's the meaning of these terms here, right? So it means that, oops. Okay, so these are the some examples of terrestrial habitats. If I talk about animals living in water, for example, fishes, right? Fishes live in water. Not just fishes, we have aquatic plants. Do you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, very good. So in aquatic habitats, we have both animals and plants, and if they live in water, their habitat can be called as aquatic habitats. Fine. Can you give some examples of aquatic habitats?
Sir, dolphin,
Not the aquatic animals. I'm talking about the aquatic habitats, like a lake. For example, if fish lives in a lake, so lake would be the habitat. Assume this fish to be living in a tank. So this tank is this fish's habitat, right? Should I draw it again? Hello? Hello? Aditya, am I audible?
yes, sir.
Yeah. So I was just saying, consider a fish that lives in a tank. This tank. This tank contains water. Okay, this
Yes,
fish. So this fish habitat is this tank, right? If this fish was living in a lake, its habitat would have been that lake.
yes, sir.
If this fish was living in an ocean, its habitat would have been that ocean. So, what are examples of these habitats? Lakes, rivers, and oceans, right? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So, like we will discuss more on this in the next few slides. Okay, just a moment. Okay, now comes a new term. I just show. Like Aditya, like I was discussing, like we talked about animals, we talked about plants, we talked about aquatic animals, we talked about, there are also microorganisms and small microscopic organisms like fungi. We have planktons, right? We have bacteria. There are many other categories. And these all things constitute to a single word, to a single term, which we call it as, just a moment. Yeah, which we call it as, this all system, we call it as an ecosystem. This entire system is termed as ecosystem. What is it known as? Hello?
Yes,
This is
sir.
no. Yeah, just a moment. Again, I have lost my pen. This is known as ecosystem. Okay, so we all are part of this ecosystem around us. Like I am a human being, you are a human being. We both are part of this uh, ecosystem. Fine. We have wind around us, we have plants around us, we have sun around us, we have animals, dogs, cats, we have monkeys, we have trees, we have small plants, we have tall plants, we have herbs, we have shrubs. These all are part of an ecosystem, right? So from that ecosystem, we can divide categories. Like for example, there are living organisms and there are non-living organisms, right? This world is known as an ecosystem. Okay, we all are part of this world. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right? Right. In this world, there are two categories of people: living organisms and non-living organisms. Right? Living organisms include human beings, animals, and plants. Right? Non-living organisms include anything that is not living. This pen, this table, this chair, this laptop, this mouse. Sun is also non-living. Okay, plants are living. Plants are living, right? Plants are living. Whereas if I talk about sun, soil, air, these and water, these all are non-living. Okay, but non-living and living are not scientific terms. We use scientific terms to represent these two categories. For living organisms, we term it as the biotic component, and non-living organisms are termed as abiotic components. All right.
Yes, sir.
So, if I talk about a monkey, will it be a biotic component or abiotic component? A monkey is a living organism,
Yes, sir.
so it will be biotic component. Fine.
Sir. Yes, sir.
A cat, will it be biotic or abiotic?
Abiotic.
Biotic. It will be biotic. Why? Because it is a living organism. If I talk about a dog, will it be biotic or abiotic? It will be biotic. Okay, I'll explain the topic once more. I guess it's not clear to you. Hello, Aditya, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I am just saying that there are two categories of organisms, living organisms and non-living organisms, right?
Yes, sir.
Living organisms are known as biotic components, are known as the biotic components, whereas non-living organisms are known as abiotic components. Living organisms are known as biotic and non-living are known as abiotic. Okay? Okay. So if I talk about a cat is a living organism, hence will be a biotic component.
Yes, sir.
If I talk about a monkey is again a living organism, so it will be a biotic component.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what about a laptop? Is it living or non-living?
Sir, which one?
Laptop.
Sir, e-waste.
It is
E-waste.
it is e-waste, but it is non-living, right?
Yes, sir.
So it will be abiotic or biotic?
Sir, abiotic.
Abiotic,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay, one more example. Trees. Are trees living or non-living?
Sir, living.
Living. Very good. So they will come under the category of biotic components.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is sun living or non-living? Have you seen sun?
Yes, sir.
Is it living or non-living? It is non-living. Okay. So sun will be counted under the abiotic components. Similarly, wind is non-living thing. It's not a living thing. So it will be counted under as abiotic component. Fine. So basically, it's not tough. It's just like it's a new topic for you. Just think in your mind that if a thing is living, it will be termed as a biotic component. And if it is non-living, it will be termed as a abiotic component. It will be termed as abiotic component. Fine. There is a difference here, abiotic and biotic. Okay. So now I hope this is clear. So now we'll move to the next one, deserts. Okay, like Aditya, we are discussing about habitats, right? So in habitats, in the first slide we saw there was a desert. So let's talk about desert now. Okay, like it's very obvious, deserts are very, very hot.
But
It's very,
you can also see me from the book.
sorry.
Then you can also tell us from tell. You can also see from book.
Book.
The NCERT book.
So do you want me to show you the book?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just a moment. I will show you. Hmm, where is it? Yeah, here it is. It's like I have downloaded the textbooks. It's
Sir, you will tell the page number.
Okay, actually, Aditya, I cannot tell you the page number because I have downloaded the PDF. It's unit number 9.
That's the chapter then.
Chapter name is the Living Organisms, Characteristics and Habitats. Chapter 9 in NCRT. Can you see my screen? Okay, I have not shared, I guess.
Sir,
See, can you see the textbook now?
the chapter 6.
Chapter 9, 9, N-I-N-E 9.
Oh.
See here, like we have the desert areas, right? Okay, so now will be continuing with the desert regions. Like, desert regions are very, very hot. They have intense heat, very hot. So here, water is absent, almost absent. Like, water is in very small amounts present here. Like, we don't have freshwater lakes or freshwater ponds present in deserts, right? Because of intense heat, the water evaporates. The water is lost to the atmosphere in the form of vapors, right? So it gets very tough to for animals to live here in deserts. So animals stay in burrows deep in sand. Like if this be the sand, they create burrows in it. Here they create burrows in it and live here under the ground. Why? Because the heat that is coming from sun will reflect after striking the ground, and they will not feel too much hot when they live below ground. So for example, mice and snakes, they live under the in these burrows and furrows they make in the sand. They come out only during night because nights are cooler as compared to daytime, right? Hello, am I audible? Hello.
Yes, sir. I'm talking to someone else.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, 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 no issues. Yeah, okay. So now there is another very important characteristic that we were discussing in the starting, that desert plants, the plants that are in deserts, how they are present in deserts, because if there is very less water, how do they survive? Yes, as I was saying that like I cannot live in a room where AC is present. It gets very tough for me to live here. But like if I talk about a plant that can live in desert, okay, so they have adapted to that environment. They have adapted, right? So what are these adaptations? For example, like if I have to live in a winter in a colder region, so I need to wear a sweater or a jacket so that I can survive in that region. Similarly, plants in desert areas need to have some special features, need to have some special clothes so that they can survive in that desert area. So there are some properties that we need to study that desert plants have. First one is their leaves are either very small in size, or they have turned into spines. Okay, they are either very small or absent, or they have turned into spines. This helps in reducing the loss of water. Like you might have studied a term, transpiration. Transpiration is the loss of water from leaves. So if leaves are small, the water will be lost in less amount, or if there are no leaves, water will not be lost. So water will be retained by the plant, right? Like in the desert area where there is scarcity of water, there the water will be retained by the plant. Okay. Also, photosynthesis is usually carried out by stem. We also know that photosynthesis is the process of production of food. If there are no leaves, how will the plant get food? Okay, it is saving the water, but where to get the food? We cannot just survive on water, right? So that food will be prepared by stem of the plant here. Stem prepares the food, right? Yeah. Also, stem is covered with a thick waxy layer. Like you might have seen a plant, aloe vera. Aloe vera. I'm not sure whether I'm writing the correct ALEO. I guess OE, something kind of that. Aloe vera, that has very thick stems, which has a very thick cuticle. We use aloe vera gel. That's very healthy for us. So, okay, that's another thing. But it has a thick waxy layer. This waxy layer helps to retain water in the tissues of the cactus. Okay, cactus also has very thick stem. Okay, when we cut cactus, it also has thick cuticle, thick waxy layer. This helps in the retaining of water inside the plant. Most desert plants have roots that go very deep into the soil. Yes, 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 I just forgot this point. These plants have very deep roots. Why do they have deep roots? Because the roots that are deep will reach to underground water someday. Like if this be the surface and this be my tree, if my roots are just still here, they cannot get the underground water. If my roots are long, they can reach to the underground water reservoirs. So that is why it is all again another adaptation in desert plants, that they have longer roots. They have longer roots. All right. Am I live online? Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Did you know these things?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Was I able to provide a quick glimpse of the things to you? Because I don't feel that I was able to, like I delivered the content, but I don't know whether it reached you or not. So was it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So now from deserts, let's move to mountains. Now, as deserts were hot, mountains are cooler, right? So like if we go to, we go on a trip to mountains, we usually carry sweaters, we carry jackets. Why do we carry so? Because they protect us from the cold. Jackets. So similarly, like okay, we are human beings, we can carry thick clothes, but animals cannot. So animals there. Okay, we'll talk about both plants and animals. If I talk about deserts, where were the animals living? They were living under the ground in burrows. Why? Because heat. There was an intense heat. Similarly, if I talk about animals in mountain regions, they don't live in ground. Very obviously, they live on land. They did not to go into the ground. And these animals have thick fur on their body, right?
Yes,
If
sir.
I talk about a bear, a polar bear, it lives in colder regions in Antarctica, right? It has a very thick fur on its body. If I talk about yaks, they also have thick fur on their body, right? Something like this. This protects them from the cold. Okay, that's about the plants, right? They have thick skin or fur to protect them from cold. Animals living in mountain regions are also adapted to the conditions. Snow leopards, okay, we talked about yaks. Their long hair keep them warm. Snow leopards have thick fur on their body. So, like again, they are protected by the intense cold by the thick fur on their body. Now, we have discussed about desert, we have discussed about mountains. Now we are coming to oceans. Oceans. Now, oceans again, we will talk about animals and plants. Fine. If I talk about animals, yesterday we studied about a fish, right? How does a fish move? It moves by forming loops on right and left side. It moves some in like this direction, in this way, right? And we also studied a term, their bodies are streamlined. They have been lined in the direction of stream so that they can easily move through the waves of the water. Okay, this helps in a easy movement. They have streamlined body. This is important. These animals have gills, right? Like we live on land, we can breathe air, and that air will be used for by our body via lungs, right? Respiration. We call that process as respiration. So the animals that live on ground respire through lungs. But if I go to water, I cannot breathe there, right? Also, animals living there, like fishes, cannot breathe directly from water. They do so with the help of gills. Their breathing organ is gills. Okay, this helps them to use oxygen dissolved in water. Like we use oxygen in air around us. Fishes use oxygen that is dissolved in water around them. Did you know this fact? Did you know about the gills?
Yes, sir.
Yes, very good. There are some sea animals like dolphins and whales that do not have gills. They don't have gills. They breathe in air through nostrils or blowholes. Have you seen, in many cartoons they show, also you can see the real whale on YouTube for sure. A whale is very huge fish, right? And it has a blowhole here, right? It comes to the surface of water and blows, so much of that air and water comes out. You might have seen in many cartoons they show. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Yeah, that is the blowhole that are located on upper parts of their head, and they come to the water surface and they just blow off the air, and after taking a longer breath they go back into water. They don't have gills, so they have adapted accordingly. Okay, so that's the thing about the aquatic animals. Now we need to talk about aquatic plants. Aquatic plants, it's very tough for plants to live inside water, right? But still they have adapted according to the condition. Firstly, their roots, they're like, see, if a plant was in desert, it had very long roots. Why? Because it needed groundwater, which was very deep inside of earth. Whereas if a plant is in water, so it does not need to have longer roots. It can work with shorter roots as well. So their roots are much reduced in size because their roots work would not be to absorb water because they're already in water, right? Their main function is to hold the plant in place, right? Their main function is to hold the plant in place. The stems of these plants are long, hollow, and light. Like if I have this water body, okay, I had a water body in the starting. Let's go to that slide again. This one, right? Here, like you can see here, these are again aquatic plants, so their roots are very small roots. Now their stems are long and they are light and have airy tissues, alveolar tissues. That term you will study in your 7th or 8th class. Okay, let's not talk about this. These tissues have air gaps. Why do they have air gaps? The reason is so that the plant just floats in water. So that the plant easily floats in water. If there were no such tissues, the plant would just sink in, which is not good, right? They should easily float in water. So for that reason, their tissues are light, and we have, thin stems, lighter stems in these aquatic plants, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, are things getting clear to you? Sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Like, okay, that's just, like these are revision classes. Why we are revising things? Because when you will move to class 7 again, these new terms will come for you. So for that new terms we should be ready with the basics, right? So that is the reason at SUVY labs we are revising things for the students. Okay, so the stems grows up to the surface of water while the leaves and water floats on the surface of water. That was the reason the stem should be long, should be light in weight, and should be hollow, so that they reach the surface, and when the flower blooms it should be on the surface. For example, lotus, right? You might have seen a lotus flower that blooms on the surface of water. Again, my drawing is not too good. This is again a leaf kind of structure present here, and its roots go into the water, deep into water, right? Have you seen that in images? A lotus plant?
And I have not seen the image of lotus plant, but I have seen. I have studied about it.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. So in some submerged plants, leaves are often highly divided through which the water can easily flow. Okay. For example, if I have an aquatic plant and it has this much thick leaf, and I have a plant that has very thin leaf, but so many leaves. So, which will allow water to pass through it easily? This one, very obviously, because water will pass through the gaps. Whereas, if my water is flowing through this leaf, it will face some resistance here. It will not easily pass because this leaf surface will not allow the water to pass through it. Whereas, these thin leaves will provide water a path to flow. Right. So, this is again an adaptation in plants without damaging them. So, after a long time this leaf will get damaged if water comes and strikes the leaf again and again, this leaf may get damaged on someday. But if the leaves are highly divided, this damage may not take place, right? Okay, then we talked about frogs, right? Usually live in ponds, can stay both inside water as well as move on land. They have strong back legs and help them in leaping and catching their prey, right? You might have seen a frog's image at least. Okay, I can show it again because I have it in my slides. Here is a frog, right? So frog has a very long tongue. It can just catch its prey. It has very bouncy legs so that it can take long jumps. Have you seen it in cartoons? They usually show frog jumps from one place to other place. These places can be very far away also in cartoons because they just show very funny things there so that children may get attracted. So okay, that's another thing, but the main thing is that their legs are bouncy, they can easily jump, their tongues are long, and they have lungs, not gills. Okay, they have lungs, not gills, and they breathe when they are on the surface. Okay, they have webbed feet which helps them to swim in water. So it can be asked to you in exam like what are the adaptations seen in frog. So frog has webbed feet. It helps them to swim in water. They have longer tongues to catch their prey, and they can easily jump around here and there. Okay, that was pretty much about the habitats. Now let's talk about characteristics of organisms. Living organisms. Very important term being missed out here. We are talking about characteristics of living organisms. Okay, so Aditya, are you a living organism?
Yes, sir.
Very obviously. Do you consume food?
Yes, sir.
Yes, all living organisms consume food. We need food for our growth. If we don't get food, we will not get sufficient proteins, we will not get nutrients, and hence our body growth will be affected, right? So we need food. Do we show growth? Do you show growth? 10 years ago, you were a small child. Now you are a big child, right? So you have shown a growth. Similarly, a plant which was a plantlet few years back is now a tree. So it has shown growth. Whereas if I talk about a non-living organism, for example, my pen, it is still a pen. It has not grown into a paper, right? So non-living organisms do not show growth. All organisms respire. Do you respire? Do you have lungs? Yes, you do have lungs. You take in oxygen and you give out carbon dioxide, right? So that is the respiration process, and all living organisms go through the respiration process, be it animals, be it plants. Plants also respire. Okay. Next, all organism responds to stimulus. For example, Aditya, if there is a dog behind you, running behind you, will you run?
Yes, sir.
If a dog chases you, will you run?
Sir, I will show my intelligence and try to scare the dog. So is not scare the dog. I will try to be brave.
Okay, you will try to be brave or you will hide somewhere, right?
No,
So
sir, I will try to be brave and not scare the dog. Uh, so the dog will not attack us. If
okay.
I start to run, the dog will
Yeah, will run again behind you. Okay. So, this is stimulus. What is stimulus? Stimulus is something that, makes us to move from our place. For example, if a dog is coming to you, so your body might get active. You may feel, okay, I should stand or I should change my place so that this dog does not disturb me, right? Or for example, there is a snake coming towards you, so you will definitely change your position, right? So also, for if I talk about sunflower, have you seen a sunflower? You might have heard of it, that sunflower changes its position along with the direction of sun. If sun is here, this sunflower will face here. If this sun definitely changes its direction during the day, and when sun comes here, this sunflower would turn to this direction and will face the sun here. So that is again a stimulus. Stimulus is anything like change in the position. So be it animals or be it human beings or plants, all of us show stimulus to different things. For example, if I talk about, if a child is not studying, so his mom will come to him and give him a slap, and then the child will start studying. So slap acted as a stimulus, right? So that stimulus made the organism to work or move. So all organism uh, respond to these stimuli. Plural form of stimulus is stimuli, muli. Okay. All organisms reproduce, like be it plants or be it human beings, we all reproduce. Okay, like we produce people or organisms of our type, right? If we talk about animals, like monkeys reproduce monkeys, right? Cats reproduce cats. That's the process of reproduction. If I talk about plants will make seeds. That seeds will help in the growth of more plants. So that is the process. Then all organisms excrete waste materials, very obviously, be it sweat or be it the fecal matter. All organisms excrete. All organisms show locomotion. Yes, be it plants, it's usually said plants do not move, but plants do move. If I talk about sunflower, it moves, right? That's the locomotion. Human beings, very obviously, they move. So that's the thing. Okay, so like again, as every day it happens, we fall short of time. We have one more unit today, but I don't think we'll be able to cover it.